But we are, after all, the United States of America. So what is it that unites us? Truth and freedom.
Back to the top story of the day. Michael Flynn arriving for his sentencing just moments ago. What will happen inside that federal courthouse just 30 minutes from now? Yep. Alan Dershowitz is here with his analysis of Flynn's plea and the controversy surrounding his questioning. Alan, good morning to you.
Welcome back. Good morning.
What is your thinking ahead of this sentencing?
Well, I hope the judge will ask some very, very hard questions. Questions about whether or not the plea was a valid plea. I don't believe it was a valid plea. I think that Flynn was coerced into pleading guilty to a crime of which he was innocent. He was coerced by threats against his son, threats against his fortune. And the reason I think he was innocent is even if he told an untruth, which it seems as if he did, it was not a material untruth. The government already knew everything they asked him about. They knew that he had conversations with the diplomat. They knew the nature of the conversations. They had recordings of it. And when you ask a question that you already know the answer to, and you have proof of the answer, there's only one purpose to the question, and that is to elicit a lie, to do a morality test, and that is not a proper function of the FBI. I hope the judge will agree with that. It will take a lot of courage for the judge to throw out a plea that has already been accepted by him, but he's going to ask some very, very, very hard questions.
Usually when you get a sentencing phase of the trial, that's the end of the case. He says it's not the end of the case with regard to Michael Flynn. Sir? You still got us?
Yeah. Oh, are you asking me to comment on Michael McCasey?
Yeah, absolutely.
I hope it's not the end of the case. I hope this results in an investigation by the Inspector General of the tactics used by the FBI. Look, the basic question for the American public is, do we want an FBI going around administering morality, criminal morality tests to its citizens, giving us a chance to either lie or tell the truth? You and I would tell the truth. Some people will lie. But is that the proper function of the FBI? And I think that's one of the issues raised by this case, because the FBI had to know that the only reason they were asking him these questions was to see if he would lie. And he fell into the trap, and now he's being sentenced.
Just to give McCasey's conversation more context, is it possible you agree on the lying charge to avoid the possibility of another charge?
Sure. Sure. Or that happens all the time. Plea bargaining to one offense to avoid prosecution on another offense. I don't see the other offenses. What he said in regard to speaking to the Russian diplomats was entirely lawful. Oh, you could argue it violates the Logan Act, which hasn't been enforced since 1802, I think, or 1803. But nobody would seriously consider that a crime today. So I don't understand what he was trying to benefit from pleading guilty to a crime which he could have won in court from day one. I said if he litigated this case, he would be found not guilty by a jury.
Abdul on the podcast today.
This has to be one of the most dramatic hearings that I have ever witnessed, and I've been here in Washington nearly 20 years. The bottom line for folks at home is that the sentencing of the former National Security Advisor Michael Flynn has been put off for another 90 days. There'll be a status report filed in mid-March. But let me just walk you through what's happened in the last couple of hours. The federal judge in this case, Emmett Sullivan, began the proceeding by stating to the court, "I can't think of a day when the court has accepted a guilty plea from a defendant that is not guilty, and that is not going to start today." He then walked the former National Security Advisor Michael Flynn through several elements of the case, and he gave him multiple opportunities to withdraw the guilty plea agreement with the special counsel. He gave Flynn multiple opportunities to challenge the circumstances of his FBI interview in January of 2017. These are the specific issues of not having consultation with the White House counsel, being discouraged from having a lawyer, also not being formally advised that any false statements could be used in a future prosecution, and Michael Flynn declined to do so. Through his attorneys, he told the court that he was aware that false statements to the FBI at any time could be prosecuted to the full extent of the law. He also, I want to note, put the special counsel under scrutiny and possibly even on notice. He asked the special counsel whether talking to the Russian ambassador in December of 2016 was a crime, and the special counsel representative responded, it could be a violation of the Logan Act. And then the judge, sort of in a very unusual way and flip way, said, isn't that the act no one has ever been charged with? Which was sending a signal as to what was at the heart of this case. So a lot of drama, a lot of opportunity for Michael Flynn to withdraw his guilty plea, to challenge the conditions of his FBI interview in January of 2017, which the judge said he found troubling personally. But Flynn has declined to do so, and sentencing has now been postponed for another 90 days, Harris.